That would have been good if you got the like crack open as soon as we went live, but it was like a second too early.
Yeah. Live.
Yeah, Instagram is good. I just saw that pop up. You want me to keep that open just for questions on my end, or you want to do it?
Sure.
700,000 tabs open as always.
Yeah, it's always like you start the day with 1-2 tabs and you end the day with like 400.
Yeah, I don't know if you have this on your computer because you're on a Windows, so I don't know if it does this, but it might be a Chrome thing though. It like will tell me, it'll just give me a suggestion. It'll be like, do you want to organize your tabs? And I'm like, that's how I know I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, the Windows does the same thing.
Does it? It must be Chrome.
Yeah. I never press organize.
No, why would you?
Yeah. I wonder what it does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does it do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Your computer just blows up.
Yeah. Good evening, Claudia. How's everybody doing? It's about to be a big weekend.
Yeah.
A crazy sales weekend. It's a moment we've been preparing for all year.
Yeah, it kind of crept up, I feel like. But you said, we were talking earlier, what was it, this week? And Black Friday is later this year than it is normally. Is that?
Yeah, it's super late. I mean, it's Cyber Monday's in December.
I don't even know what's normal.
It's like usually Thanksgiving will fall early 20s.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. Black Friday last year was November 24th. So we're 5 days. Is it a leap year or something? Does that make any difference?
I don't know. But nevertheless, it's here, fast and furious, Sales started picking up pretty hard Monday. A little bit of a slowdown. Still above the norm, but a little bit of a slowdown past day or two from Monday. But I mean, once we get through Thanksgiving, we're gonna be off for the races.
Yeah, and everybody, there is a slowdown like intentionally almost every year because, and like we noticed that too in like if any of you guys are running PPC ads or anything like that, like it's kind of getting into more granular stuff, but like our ACoS, like our average cost that it takes to acquire a customer, like goes up substantially in like the week before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And that's just because people are just browsing. They're not purchasing. They're just on there waiting, adding things to their carts for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So it's like you can see it in real time with like the data.
Yeah. What he's saying, sales are slow. I mean, I think it's all relative to how much inventory you have in stock, but you don't be surprised if you see a little bit of a slowdown until we pick up, for Black Friday. But a lot of things going on in the community right now, tons and tons of issues with gating. There were a lot of people you were saying that people were getting ungated again, right?
I asked that on Twitter. I don't know that I got people responding to it. A couple of people liked it, but I don't know what the consensus was on that. I just saw a couple of things flying around that were like, oh yeah, larger sellers are getting ungated again. And I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we didn't get, a lot of people have asked us, if it affected us. It really didn't affect us in the slightest, but there was one product, ASIN, that we have that about, I want to say 600 or 700 units, probably about 10 grand worth of inventory that got restricted. But we have an exclusive agreement with the brand. So it's funny because, Amazon restricted us in the product that we are the brand representative on Amazon. So now it's just about like just going back and forth with Amazon to get ungated. It's not the best timing because it is a Q4 product, sells year round, but we stocked up for Q4, but somebody said something, I think I saw it on Twitter. It was like, the inherent differences between, why like a wholesale model is less risky or than say an arbitrage model. And I would say that the answer to that, is it's really about brand direct wholesale, because if you're just doing regular wholesale, if you're buying from, generic wholesalers or distributors, maybe they're authorized, maybe they're not, but you're still not authorized to sell the brand's products on Amazon. I don't think that there's really any difference between that and arbitrage in the sense of risk mitigation, Section 3s, gating issues, but it's where it's when we have that last sentence of authorized by the brand, right?
Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
authorized by the brand? Even if you get gated, like in a situation like we're in, there's a recourse because you can prove to Amazon, hey, no, I have the brand registry rights. I have this, I have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have even known that anything was happening if it wasn't for Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like, what, I had no idea, which is a good thing. Question in here, Claudia is asking if an order has been pending for the last 4 weeks, Lego set payment pending, raise a seller support ticket, anything I can do, FBA order. FBA order isn't, that threw me for a loop on that. I was thinking it would be an FBM. There's an FBA order that's pending for more than 4 weeks. Confused on that one.
It might be pending because it's Lego. So I'm not sure. Maybe did you have it listed before there was that hard gate on Lego? Could be something going on there with that.
Yeah, if it's an order that's pending, you would, like, if it's purchased already, then it's something is pending within like a chargeback or something like that. That's kind of where my mind goes. I don't know that there'd be like it gets halfway down the conveyor belt at the FC and they're like, nope.
Yeah, well, I think that
Listed.
yeah, it's listed 2 months ago. I don't know. Could have something to do with the gating. Could just be, I think you just got to wait it out. There's not a whole lot you can do in those situations.
Yeah. If it's an FBM order, then it's usually just because there's some sort of payment issue, which in that case, what I recommend not doing is listing the product again, because we've had it where 4 weeks go by and then suddenly it goes into unshipped from pending, and now you didn't have that product, you relisted it, then you're out the product. So, but yeah, I don't know, FBA, it's a tough one.
Yeah, just got to wait it out on pending orders, unfortunately.
Yeah. On that note, if you guys do have any questions, just anything relating to Q4, anything FBA, just feel free to drop them in here. We're happy to answer. So just looking to see if there's a consensus on anything that on my post on Twitter.
Yeah.
I just don't love that, like, unsure. It's not even a word. I was going to say unsurety. I don't think that's a word, but like that unsure.
Uncertainty.
I think unsurety should be. We should add that to the vocabulary. But yeah, the uncertainty of the business model, like just in any business model, I want my worry to be on the supplier that I'm contacting and the product and everything. I don't want my worry to be on my ability to even sell the product or not. That's not where the attention and the focus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think, in 2025, brand direct wholesale is really, if you can make that pivot to brand direct wholesale next year,
Yeah.
you're going to be getting ahead of the curve You just don't deal with these types of issues, Section 3s, all these types of account health issues. When I see people's account health on Twitter and it's just polluted with all these claims, like I'm throwing a curveball because it's just, I'm like, I mean, our account, we get one ding and it's like, all right, gotta solve this quick.
I saw Jonah actually post something today. For those of you guys watching, if you don't follow Jonah Hodges, he's a brand direct seller, really really good guy, and he posted something like, "Man, all of a sudden everybody's talking brand direct wholesale after all the ungatings. Now everybody's like, I've been preaching this for years, and now everybody wants to talk about it." So yeah, it's funny. It's the way the industry's going though, but. I actually had a question here on Instagram. You could answer that. It says, what's the best strategies to convince brands to buy from them and have authorization to sell on Amazon? So just basic, like, how do you, basic brand direct wholesale, how does that work? How would you convince a brand?
How do you convince a brand? There's many, a lot of ways you can convince a brand. It all starts with understanding what their challenges and pain points are. So it really comes down to first opening the dialogue with them by asking, how they're handling the e-commerce space and kind of, what that looks like for them. And then from there, you allow them to explain the issues that they have. And then you match those issues with solutions, things like, listing optimization, Amazon ads, building their brand presence. There's tons of ways to add value, just to name a few.
Yeah, exactly. It's all played off of, like we always talking about, emotional intelligence and like how to play off of what the brand owner is saying. So a lot of times getting that we don't want you to sell on Amazon doesn't mean no. It just means like, we need help. We've had bad experiences, and they're looking for you to solve the solution or solve the problem for them essentially. And then other question in here says, don't have credit cards that I can use to leverage my business. I'm just getting started with what I have. Can I grow my business this way, starting out with online arbitrage? I feel like I could speak on that really well, actually, because that's what I did at the beginning. I had no credit cards. I had nothing, relating to that. And both Brad and I actually, when we were starting out in retail arbitrage. So I think it's a great way to learn the platform. And I think that you're actually, like, I wouldn't consider yourself to be in a bad position. I would actually take it as I get to learn organically. Like, I get to learn without making a bunch of rookie mistakes with a bunch of credit card debt. So I think that that's very doable. I think that you'll know when you're going to transition and pivot into a different business model. I think that we knew when it was time for us to do that. But I think online or retail arbitrage is a great way to start out, just learning Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. Another question here: how long it takes to build a profitable brand direct wholesale business? And then a follow up on that. It means brand direct wholesale will be more competitive in 2025. So how long it takes to build a profitable brand direct wholesale business? I think you can be profitable from day one, but to start to see sustainability and revenue coming in consistently, I would say give it about 6 to 9 months. And that's different from arbitrage. You could start making money today with arbitrage. You really can. But with brand direct wholesale, it's going to take probably about 6 months to really start to see the compounding effects of the work that you're doing. So you're going to be reaching out to all these different brands. You're going to be getting faced with a lot of rejection. You're going to be positioning yourself and learning how to provide value and understanding the brand's pain points. But you're going to do that, and you're going to fall on your face for probably a couple of months, and then you're going to pick yourself back up and do it again and get better. And then you're just going to keep getting better at the process. It's very much so a compounding effect, not just from the business, but from your own skill set standpoint. So 6 months, you start to see, you really start to see those products being added into your inventory, and your business will start to multiply. And then 9 months and beyond, like if you just keep this going for a year, 2 years, 3 years, the growth is just like infinitely scalable.
The disclaimer on that is that you're contacting brands like consistently.
Yeah.
Like you can, that those results that Brad was just talking about, like 100%, if you're consistently contacting, especially in the beginning, like volume, because you have to make up for your lack of skill set with the volume as far as like the companies that you're reaching out to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm also like, I'm not worried about things. I mean, sorry, I cut you off there. Things being competitive, and like, I think the bar with Brand Direct is very high in terms of like the ability to really, it's more difficult than a lot of business models. And so I don't think that most people have that drive for it. But if you do, you can break into the market and be very successful.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, when it comes to labeling something as competitive, I think every online business under the sun is competitive and oversaturated. It comes down to positioning and sticking with it for a long period of time. Like whether it's brand direct wholesale or online arbitrage or private label, whatever the business model is, they're all competitive. And they're all changing, so if you can be the seller to get in on the action and weather the storm, and continue to push through and pivot when Amazon throws curveballs, and do it for a long period of time, you're going to be the one that wins. Most people drop off in the first 6 months. So I wouldn't worry about things being competitive. It just comes down to the strategies that worked, 5 years ago just might not work today. So you have to do things differently today than people were doing them 5 years ago.
Yeah, and we were told, I mean, what it said, will it stay that way? I don't know, because we're dealing with Amazon here, but we were told that there's going to be no fee increases in 2025. So anyone that didn't see that, that's interesting. I also feel like they kind of like play, like they played with the numbers a little bit, to make it seem like people were saving more money. Because, I mean, there were fee reductions last year, but there were also a lot of increases. But, I mean, I think that overall, what did you say the percentage was that it goes up every year for fees?
It's about 15% across the board.
A lot. It's pretty incredible. So, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, I don't know a reference point on that, if that's similar to other industries or like, what. But, yeah, I mean, if you're not growing your business and riding the wave with the fee increases, then you're not going to last too long.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to private label here. Yes, it's something that we're dabbling with.
Another question, was sourcing difficult in the beginning? What to do when you have beginners jumping into Q1? Was sourcing difficult in the beginning?
I assume we're talking about wholesale, not arbitrage.
Yeah, wholesale.
I mean, I think relative to like what quarter you're in, I think Q4 is the only time of year where it's like any different. I mean, we're at the point where we're preparing for fourth quarter and stuff like that in Q1 and Q2 and that kind of stuff. But as a new seller, I don't know that it's any more difficult or easier in one quarter or another as far as sourcing goes, Q1, 2, and 3. I think just setting a precedent for yourself to learn the skill set, like, consume content. Oh, online arbitrage. Okay, so never mind everything that we're saying.
I think the whole thing applies.
Yeah, I guess it does.
It's same principle applies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the same principle does apply. I think that it's just about consistency and like consuming content of people that know what they're talking about, and learning and just as much as you can, and like getting excited about the whole process, And I think that it's easier to do that with OA and with RA. I think wholesale, you have to really have that delayed gratification, but I think it's something good to like that's not talked about as much as to just be able to get excited about what you're doing, especially as a new seller, because it's a huge opportunity. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of fun at the beginning. You don't have so much like worry about, all these different issues.
More money, more problems, huh?
Just different problems, It's like, yeah, it changes. It's so crazy, like your pivot of thinking. And I'm sure now we're not going to think the same things that we think a couple of years from now,
Yeah, your baseline keeps going up. It's like crazy, You see it so much in successful sellers. It's like, they start, oh, I just want to hit my first 10K month, 10K month. So if I 100K month, I'm good. I'm good at 100K. Million month, it just keeps, but that becomes your norm, right? You're doing 100K a month, and you're like, um, you need, that's a good thing. You're after, you keep raising the bar, but you need more to feel satisfied. But that's a good thing. It means you're growing, and you're chasing excellence. So
I always like to say the term happy, never satisfied, because I feel like you can get into that mindset of like, you're just not happy where you're like, oh, I'm only doing 100K. Like I could be doing 200 or 300, right? Like versus, yeah, I'm happy with where I've been, but I'm satisfied and I want to get more. I think that's the healthy position to be in.
yeah, I think also expressing gratitude and just being grateful for the process itself really helps with that. Um,
Yeah.
as you're going through the process, like I find, just thinking back to when, I remember I was doing this, right? I was doing this, just grinding in the basement, putting poly bags together, like just thinking about that, and then where, the business is today, and just seeing yourself grow over a period of time, I think helps with, you know, that whole happy but not satisfied
For
concept.
someone starting, right? Like we always talk about this, but breaking it down is we always say like small incremental wins. I said that on Twitter the other day. Someone said something about, numbers or whatever. And I was like, small incremental wins. That's what all it is. And he was like, I'll take your word for it. But that's really what it comes down to. I mean, we still look at it that way. So if something seems unattainable, maybe as a newer seller, first of all, don't compare yourself to anyone else. That's the thing you shouldn't do. But just small wins every day stack up if you stay consistent.
Mm-hmm. Another question: how did you learn listing optimization and running PPC ads? Do you recommend any course or program for that?
You want me to answer?
So basically, listing optimization and PPC ads. The main thing that you're doing with those is you're pitching them. A lot of people, are kind of surprised at when I say this, but you don't actually have to know exactly how to do either of those things or the intricacies of them. I can tell you right now, I don't know all the intricacies of Amazon PPC, but that doesn't matter because the business model is not Amazon PPC. That's the nice part about this business is that is not the focus of the business. It's using PPC or listing optimization simply as a vehicle to. You're laughing at that.
It was just such
Yeah,
a one, like, we're not an ad firm, so why does it matter? It's
yeah.
true. It's
Well,
very true, though.
so using those different tools, right, to express to brands that this is what we have at our disposal, to accomplish the major visions. And again, I always go back to this, and I talk about this pretty frequently, which is stop, Amazon PPC, listing optimization, A+ content, images, SEO, all those different things are the vehicle. But if that vehicle is not driving or operating in the correct direction, and the people on that vehicle, the brand, the one you're driving along through that vehicle, doesn't understand where you're going with all of it, those things are going to mean nothing. Listing optimization, PPC, right? But the focal points to the brand should be brand equity, customer loyalty. What else? Sales growth.
Yeah, pricing consistencies.
Yeah, there's many visions, and that's the biggest thing in expressing to the brands is that you want to express the vision more than you want to express the way you're going to get there.
Right. Well, because a lot of times the brand doesn't understand the way you're going to get there. They only understand what they want to accomplish, and then it's your job to show them, how to do that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if we do some mentorship on a case-by-case basis. So if you're interested in that, you could send us a DM on Instagram, Operation AMZ. Be happy to talk to you. Another question here. Want to change my life with this business model, completely change it. Have you guys done this, and why did you start? That's a nice question.
I like these questions because it's not like, what's your ACOS for PP? It's like, it's more like personal, right? I mean, I would say so. I think it's definitely changed the trajectory of our lives and how things have ended up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not something you really think about because it feels so natural at this point.
Oh, you still there? You were cutting out.
Yeah. No, go ahead. You speak on that.
No, I was just gonna say. I remember back in college when I was bartending, and I was trying to just navigate what I wanted to do with my life, and I had to make a decision between either starting this Amazon endeavor or just going with the 9-to-5 job. And I had an offer from a company, right, in a very simple,
it's farther than I got.
finance position, right? It was like it was a finance position, and it was really, really like it was all right there for me. It was less than 10 minutes down the road from my house. It was position and finance. It was all set, ready to go for me. And I had to make this decision, right, to take an opportunity that was right there that, supposedly is what you're supposed to do. Or I had to say, you know what, I'm not going to do any of this, right? I'm not going to fall into the pressure of what a lot of people were telling me to do. And I'm going to do this thing that this might not work, and I think that is the moment that, like, if you can have the power to make that decision and do that thing, right? Because if you do the thing that everybody's telling you, probably not going to work, then you should do that thing. Because that thing could potentially change your life. But if I took that position at that job, I'd be exactly where I was then. But now it's like I'm able to, we have freedom of time. We're able to collaborate with each other, and we've met so many great people along the way. So it's like, I mean, this business model can absolutely change your life, for sure.
Did you feel that pressure? That was the main thing, was there was a pressure from society or whatever to go to college, get a job, have a stable position. You felt a lot of that?
Yeah, there was, from family, friends, from people in school, seeing other people, getting these jobs, and it was like I had an immense amount of pressure that I felt, um, to do, the normal corporate route. It's what was expected.
Yeah. I thought about it for about 5 minutes. and then I was like, nah.
This pretty much sums up our approach to the business, right? It's like you're just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
got their.
For me, it was like, it felt, I didn't even get that far. You got farther than I did with a job offer. I don't think I never even applied to anything.
That was at like the 11th hour. Don't worry, like that was.
They said that I was supposed to do an internship to like, or a capstone or something like that, for graduation, and I was just like, no, I'm good, and I graduated still, but they yeah, it was never even, it took me one job, like a part-time job, to work that, to realize I didn't want to work for anyone. um it just wasn't even a consideration. I also feel like there is an element of this. I have literally nothing to back this up, but I feel like there is an element of it where it's a little genetic. Like, my entire family are all entrepreneurs, and so I grew up around it a lot, and I also had supportive, family in that regard, and so it was a little more natural of a path to me, as opposed to like going off the, against the grain. But it was never even really something I thought of, to be honest. I was just like, oh, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden I'm doing this, and, we just keep going with it and see how it goes. So,
Yeah, it's absolutely. Um, Another question here. Do you see yourself in the Amazon business for the next 10 years? 10 years is a long time away, you know. I think, at least for me, I always see myself doing something in this space, you know.
yeah, it depends on I absolutely see us doing something in this space, but there's certain factors, like the market changing and certain things that are out of your control, that to definitively be like, I am going to exactly be doing this 100% in 10 years from now. Right. So, it has to do with like how the market goes. I mean, if anything, what we've learned over the years is, in Amazon, you have to pivot. And this has also been the most sustainable and scalable and least amount of pivoting needed, is brand direct wholesale. And that's why we've done it for so long at this point. That's why we're going to continue to do it for as long as we possibly can. So I would love to be doing this in 10 years. We'll see.
Another question from John. Are there any good alternative ways of reaching out to the supplier when you're unable to reach them by email or phone? You can try, sending a contact inquiry on the website. You can get creative with like LinkedIn, and reach out to them. You can show up at their doorstep like we have. There's many ways you can.
I was going to say, I didn't even tell you this. I think it was yesterday, actually. I had one of our VAs, like, the assignment for the day was, I can't find this contact information anywhere. I need you to like stalk this company and go on a social media profile, go on something, find some way to get the information down. And I did wind up I got an email, so we'll see how it goes. But that was her task for the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went to that brand over the summer. Just showed up.
Why am I blanking? Oh, yeah. Yep. Yes, we did.
Because they wouldn't answer the phone. It's crazy. They just would not respond to anything. And the only reason we did, it's not just we just randomly showed up, but we sent the proposal and like we're starting to move on an exclusive, and then they just went blank, like we never heard from them.
Yeah.
So we showed up
on the way back from a trade show too. So that was probably not the most we were probably not the most mentally agile at the time. We just wanted to go home, but it was kind of on the way back, so we stopped. So
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that was
things
a good
to do.
trip. Um, uh, Gianni, pretty much been soaking up a lot of information. And since August, I'm getting ready to get started in January. It's getting as much knowledge as possible. Is a smart thing, or should I just start?
It's a great question. I always say, don't over plan and don't over execute. If you do too much of one of them, you're going to get yourself caught. So um, I think that what do you call it? Analysis paralysis. Is that what that's what you call it, right?
Yeah.
People sometimes in the space, if they're uncomfortable, they just don't do anything. They become a perpetual student and they never do anything. And I think that happens more so than the person who takes too much action. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'd rather you be that way than the opposite. But I'd really just start, because you're going to learn as you go. I think learning is great, and I think it's valuable. I mean, we've paid a ton of money for information from people that know more than us about different things, and I think that's valuable, as well as consuming free content. But nothing beats just your own experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key, taking action and getting your own experience under your belt. And if it helps at all, I started this, doing Amazon in a Q4. So, it's not, there's never like a perfect time to start. I personally, when I first started selling on Amazon, it was smack in the middle of Q4. I thought I was going to get my private label product up and start selling it before Christmas. And we were in October, so it was like that's when I started. But yeah, there's never a perfect time. Perfect
You
time is
remember,
now. The best time was yesterday. The second best time is now.
remember calling me with your private label idea?
Yeah, I
And
do.
I was like, you were like, how's this? And I was like, no.
What's that?
And you were like, and I said I was like, you were like, how, like, what do you think? And I was like, nope. And you were like, oh, all right.
I don't think he said no.
I said that, which I actually still stand by, is that the focus and the attention and like the hyper focus was so much more, at that time,
Yeah,
geared towards brand direct. I thought there was more of a payoff and an ROI on that.
yeah. I ended up doing a consultant uh, call for that private label idea with a top engineer that I found on a freelance site. Like this guy was top. Like he didn't charge me anything. He did it completely out of the kindness of his heart.
Wow.
But he gave me so much value on the call. And so many different angles to look at it. This guy had involvement with like Hoover vacuums. He like created something with Hoover vacuums, but um, nevertheless, learning from other people is like one of the most valuable things that I've come to realize. Like,
Yep.
I I will pay a lot of money to get on the phone with somebody who's going to tell me what I will learn in 3 years. So
Yeah, you pay for the experience, not the time. So a lot of people don't pay for the time on the phone. You pay for the experience.
you were just cutting out there. Can you say that again?
I said you pay for the experience, not the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question here says, it says, are you guys selling on Walmart? Nope.
No, we don't sell in Walmart.
There's
Um,
opportunity for sure, but it's not something we're focused on.
yeah, yeah. I see some other people who are selling on, making a lot of money selling on Walmart. Um, hey, it's just another way to another e-commerce business.
I actually saw the other day, um, I don't know who it was. I don't think it was you. I was on the phone. I was on the phone with somebody, but I was telling them I saw it in one of the parking lots. They have their own Walmart delivery trucks, like how like their vans. like the Walmart Plus or whatever. They have like their own vans now, which is crazy. It's like we're gonna have like 400 delivery services like in the next couple of years. I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got their own trucks now.
Yeah.
When Amazon did that, it was like it's just unbelievable the money involved. Jeff Bezos is like, yep, we're just gonna purchase 5,000 vans, no problem. Just like probably more than that actually. And they started their own logistics company. Nuts.
Yeah. 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 I remember when that whole thing shifted and Amazon, they like during COVID, they put crazy restrictions on the capacity limits that you could send to their warehouses. And, it was all about Amazon was moving in the direction of becoming a logistics company as opposed to being a storage company, because for so many years they were operating essentially as a warehousing company. Um, but they moved in that logistics direction, and now they pretty much like I would say they're more so a logistics company than a storage company. Look at all the it's like they want your inventory in, they want it out, turn it 30-45 days. And
look at AWD, like
yeah,
that. I mean, that is logistics. Like you're working, I mean, they're replenishing, they're doing all that stuff. So Amazon warehousing and distribution is, I mean, that is a logistics company. That's even more so than like an FC. How many brands does your VA search per day? I like to think on a per week basis, but generally we like to do anywhere between 50 to 150 a week, depending on where you're at in your journey. As you grow, it becomes increasingly difficult to contact a ton of brands because your follow-ups become so much more intensive. But somewhere in that realm, I think you're going to find a lot of success. So,
yeah, yeah. Another question here, or kind of a comment. Money I made that invest in Amazon FBA doing online arbitrage and FBM will be the only money that I'm reinvesting when I get paid. Just starting out, it's not the fast. Yeah, I mean, grow organically. That's the best way to do it. It's like Brandon said earlier on. No need to leverage up credit when you're just learning the business model. Debt is for experienced sellers who understand the implications of making buying decisions. Grow organically. Inject 2, 3, 4, 5,000 is for wholesale. But if you're doing OA, you don't even need that much. You probably start with less than $500 to 1,000. So online arbitrage, learn the ropes, just source until you can't source anymore. Like literally learn that process so well and just develop a system for it and keep rinsing and repeating it. And then as you start to see that your buying decisions are making you money and you're starting to increment, your business is starting to grow, then, look at growing with debt possibly. A lot of times there's like a realization that a lot of sellers have is that when they first start out, their biggest problem is finding profitable products. They can't find anything profitable, right? I wish I could just find this profitable product, that profitable product. I would just be here. But then all of a sudden, as you start to compound, you have way too many profitable products because you've gotten now good at the process and you don't have enough capital. So it goes from I don't have enough products to I don't have enough capital. And then when you're like, I don't have enough capital, I think that's the point where you're, you can potentially look at using debt to scale.
Yeah, the problems change as you grow. For sure.
Yeah.
We have any other questions in here? It's just about 50 minutes here. So, or 45 minutes, sorry. So if there's any other last minute questions or if there's any other points we want to touch on, I feel like we kind of hit a little bit of everywhere tonight. A lot of industry changes right in the middle of Q4. It's just, there's a lot going on. So I think we kind of were all over the place, but for good reason,
Yeah, a lot going on. If you guys don't have any questions, we're live every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Um, a lot of people are probably out and about tonight. Big night out before Thanksgiving. But yeah, join us next week, 7 o'clock Eastern. We love answering your questions. And any last minute words?
Just if you're not doing FBM, start FBM in your products because it's a crazy time of year for that. Get your money back quick.
Yeah, get ready for it. Storm is coming. Storm's brewing. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. See you next week.